The protests are organized by an internet-based group called Anonymous. Scientology leaders call them cyber terrorists, a hate group, and pathetic computer geeks after hackers crashed the church's website for days. But now Anonymous is taking its battle cry to the streets. Last month, about 7,000 people protested in cities across the globe.
That's all we are. We're people who've seen this, said this isn't right, and decided to take a stand.
A Church of Scientology promotional video starring Tom Cruise is what started it all.
When you drive past an accident, it's not like anyone else. As you drive past, you know you have to do something about it because you know you're the only one that can really help.
The leaked video spread like wildfire on the internet, but sites pulled it after the church threatened lawsuits. Anonymous called it censorship. But what started as a battle over internet freedom has evolved.
We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget.
Anonymous videos accuse Scientology of forced labor, breaking families apart, even death. In Kansas City, a couple dozen people protested the church at 39th and Main.
A lot more people showed up at this one than I actually expected for Kansas City. I didn't know how big it was going to be.
They wear masks because they say the church has a history of suing people who speak out against them. Recently, the Church of Scientology has fired back against Anonymous. In this YouTube response to the Anonymous attacks, the church says since January it has received more than 8,000 threatening phone calls.
And we're going to bomb your building.
We're going to burn your church down.
I'm going to burn you.
Plus 3.6 million emails threatening violence, 10 acts of vandalism, 8 threats to kill church members, and 22 bomb threats. The Church of Scientology spokesperson calls these hate crimes. She says the church believes in freedom of speech, but the protesters are out of line when they threaten people. Anonymous says these are peaceful protests. They argue the church should not have tax-exempt status because it charges money for church doctrine and services, making it more like a business.
We're not against the religion. We're against the corporation of Scientology.
To me, it's not even a church. It's a business. It's a money-making pyramid scheme business.
Bernie Headley is not afraid to show his face or talk about his almost 30-year experience with Scientology, mostly in Los Angeles.
I would call it an extreme cult.
Headley says his now ex-wife was a devout Scientologist, so his kids Mark and Stephanie worked full-time at the church by the time they were 15 and 17 years old. They worked up to 90 hours a week for almost $45 a week and little contact with the outside world.
It traps them. They don't think they've got anywhere else to go. And literally, when my son left, it was, Dad, help.
Others who worked in the church tell similar stories on message boards for ex-Scientologists. A Kansas woman who doesn't want her name revealed wrote to me that she and her husband recruited new people into Scientology. She says it costs up to $400,000 to reach advanced levels in the church, but church staff don't have to pay. So people join staff, only to find themselves working almost 80 hours a week, making $70 a week. If they didn't get enough new recruits, they'd be reprimanded, humiliated, and denied food. She and her husband were too afraid to leave. Quote, "You are told when you leave or even just think of leaving that you will most certainly die either of illness or accident or both." They escaped in the middle of the night and came home to family in Kansas.
But if you leave, you have to pay it back. And they slap you with what they call a freeloader debt, which is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Headley's son is now an outspoken critic of Scientology. Since leaving the church, Mark and his wife now have 2 children. Headley is a proud grandfather, but his daughter Stephanie has never met her nephews. She hasn't talked to her father in 3 years. He doesn't even know what city she is in.
By helping my son, I lost my daughter.
When he helped his son escape, he was labeled a suppressive person, an SP. No one in the church can have contact with an SP. Headley spends a lot of free time at his computer searching for his daughter. He says he's not speaking out against religion. He's speaking out against the policies that ripped his family apart.
If people want to believe that, fine. But they shouldn't be forced to, and they shouldn't have to pay to do it.
Bernie Headley plans on attending the Anonymous protest on Saturday in L.A. with his son. I asked a church spokesperson about Headley's story, and she said the church works to strengthen families, not tear them apart. Anyone can choose to leave the church anytime, and it's also someone's right not to talk to a person who disrespects their religion. Tess Koppelman, Fox 4 News.